You know that one song you can't get enough of? Chances are it was made with a sample from Splice. Explore top packs made by your favorite producers, sketch out song ideas in seconds with Create Mode, and dive into a sample catalog that's so deep, it's dangerous. Find out why Splice is the industry's not-so-secret secret. Visit splice.com and try for free today. Welcome to the Faders Songs of the Summer Week, presented by Splice. My name is Alex Robert Ross, I'm the Faders editorial director, and this week we're exploring the year's best summer songs, from massive global hits to the most exciting tracks from emerging artists. We've broken our list of contenders down into a bracket, March Madness style, with 4 regionals or quadrants, each representing a different type of summer song. The Fader staff will fight the tracks off against each other and come out with a winner from each regional before we finally pick our ultimate song of the summer on Friday. We're running a new podcast every day, and you can follow along on the Fader socials and thefader.com. The final 4 is almost set, so go back and listen to the last 3 days' podcast if you haven't already. Rounding out on day 4, it's the Brat Regional. This was the runaway trend of the past few months. Bright green, self-confident, totally unbothered. Charli XCX started it, but it doesn't have to be pop music. It's a state of mind more than a sound. On today's episode, I am joined by Fader contributing editor out of Los Angeles, Sandra Song. What's up, Sandra?
Hey.
Once again, Fader intern Hannah Sung. What's up, Hannah?
Hi, everyone.
And Fader rap writer and columnist Vivian Medithi. What's up, Vivian?
Hey, how's it going?
Today's episode is the Brat episode as we near the end of the week, and this needs a little bit of clarification. The idea of a Brat summer sort of grew and then peaked and then consumed itself to the point that we're all now ever so slightly maybe a bit weary of it. But I think it is worth spending a minute just defining what this was, what this is, and what the songs in this corner of the bracket have in common with each other. What is the unifying theory behind Brat? God, I felt old saying that out loud. Sandra.
Yes, I mean, I personally love Brat. I am wearing what I think is a very bratty shirt for this occasion. Like, pussy builds strong bones, you know? Like, it's all about being confident, feeling yourself, having fun, like, fuck your opinions, because, like, chill out. And it's, like, not a big deal. Or at least that's what it was before Kamala Gate or whatever, you know?
Hannah, what is it for you? What does it represent to you as also a younger person who's in college who has a bit of a hole in this? What does it look like to you?
I mean, yeah, before it kind of got co-opted by DNC and also, I don't know, Deloitte, it was really just like soaking up the sun and also doing some drugs, but not to the point that you're like, you don't see the dark side of Brat, which is, I don't know, addiction, and this is spiraling, but it's having fun, sleeping at 5 a.m., waking up at 3 p.m., and like doing all the things that you normally wouldn't. Like, that's not in the summertime. That's what Brat is to me.
Vivian, coming from the perspective of a rap columnist for the Fader, your tracks that made it into this portion of the bracket, they seem to represent something of what Hannah and Sandra were saying there, but from a slightly different perspective. How is it represented by these tracks, and what does it mean to you?
For sure. So when I think of Brat Summer, you know, I was actually at an Orange Theory class last weekend, just like trying it out. I've never done high intensity interval training before, but they were playing the Brat Summer playlist in there, and they had Kylie Minogue on there and like a couple other things. And to me, like, you know, what it really like brought to mind, whether we're talking about Brat the album or kind of all these other adjacent things, is Brat is like diva, right? And what's more diva than a rapper? Like Drake, diva. Chief Keef, diva. Cash Cobain and Charli, definitely divas. Sexyy Red, absolutely Brat, even though she does not know what Brat Summer means. Like, you don't need to know. Like, it's, to me, I mean, it almost is like serving cunt, right? Like, it's like, you could be like a straight woman who does not know what the hell gay people mean when they say, oh, you were serving cunt, but you can still serve cunt.
Okay, so with all of that in mind, the first track, Up, is from the originator of Brat and from the person responsible for this Brat summer. It's Charli XCX's 360.
Yeah, 360. When you're in the mirror, do you like what you see? When you're in the mirror, you're just looking at me. I'm everywhere, I'm so Julia. When you're in the party, bumping that beat. 666 with a princess streak. I'm everywhere, I'm so Julia. That city still sluts the vibe, internationally recognized. I set the tone as my design, and it's stuck in your mind.
This bracket wouldn't exist without this song, the very first single, I believe, and like the opening track of Brat. And like she starts it by saying, I went my own way and I made it. And it's like, it's kind of awesome. That's how she started the album. That's how she started the summer. And you know what? 360 isn't, I would argue, isn't the most Brat song out of Brat, but it is a directive. Like, you're gonna jump if AG made it. Like, I'm everywhere, I'm so Julia. It kind of became a self-prophecy. It's a more polished song than what some might think of, like what a Brat song should sound like. But I think that's what makes it even more Brat.
It's like a bad bitch who made it and she built for herself, you know? Like Julia Fox came out of pretty much nowhere. Charli was doing, you know, Iggy Azalea stuff and then, you know, becomes this UK club icon, like alternative left field goddess. You know, all these women who have built themselves up by themselves, but also like are perceived, I think, as bratty by other people, you know, because they're like, I don't know, they have rusty bitch face or something. And they seem mean because they're too cool for school or whatever. And it's like their public persona. But it's just like, no, you just don't care, right? Like, just mind your own business.
Hannah, you raised the point that it feels very polished, and that maybe contributes to its sense of brattiness, but maybe at the beginning it sort of complicated that for you, which is interesting because I thought about this whole Charli XCX project, not just Brat, but her career, as a very self-conscious and very honest attempt to be a pop star in the image of like 90s pop stars that we grew up with, quote unquote manufactured pop stars, which she's not she's manufacturing it herself. So for me, that sheen really doesn't remove anything right. Do you think that there has to be something sort of audibly messy about music that fits into this sort of bratty context, or does that polish always push it further into that territory?
I don't really think either of those. I think she's being very deliberate by making it more polished and like starting out the album like that. If you think about it in like a concept album type of way, like you first enter the club and like you're completely sober and like everything's like maybe you're a little tipsy and that's how you come in, and then you leave with 365, you know? It doesn't need to be polished to be Brat, and also being polished doesn't make it Brat. What makes it Brat is, I think, like the bravado in which she like approaches the song, which is, yeah, this is polished. Like this, there's not really too much crazy production going on, but I'm still making my point. Like, I'm everywhere and you're going to listen to me. And it's like, whoa, you're doing all of that with this, like 2-3 minute song. And I think that really like set the cultural impact of Brat to me.
So Charli is up against Skaiwater's Bleach in the first round.
This situation, love of mine. Patience, have some patience with me, baby. You know it's my first song. I'm still anti-baby, I should be ready for showtime. I live my life on D&D, he can't hit my line. I got so much shit to show you. Get your cash, baby. I'll be outside when the sack hit. If that new shit was trash, baby, like how the fuck you jet him? King about the best way, bitch. I had a dream about the all black whip. TikTok boy talk shit on the L. We played the same show. Niggas ain't talk by now, man. You say shit. I'm looking for bank rolls. I'm studio girl. Late night shoot. Yeah, I'm a big girl, so don't worry about me, ho. I made it here. I put the bed shake from the dirt upon the road. This could be it.
Speaking to kind of what Hannah said about 360 being our intro to Brat and 365 being how we leave the club, right? And for me, I think 365, in terms of kind of speeding it up, getting a little messier with kind of the idea in 360 is kind of more my speed and kind of more like emblematic of that kind of Brat vibe to me. I think if you see 365 as a bossed up version or a beasted up version of 360, then skaiwater is making beasted up versions of 365, right? She describes her 808s as brain rotted because they're so blown out and fried and clipping that they just like sound like walls of texture the way that My Bloody Valentine does with guitars, right? And I think too, like what is so compelling and awesome about Skywater's music is that she has like a really strong pop instinct that counterbalances the fact that she's really interested in music that clearly is derived from XXX Temptation and Playboy Cardi and a lot of these kind of harder, more abrasive rap sounds. But what if like Triple X Temptation took that kind of pop instinct that he had with a song like Sad and pushed it to the nth degree, and instead of trying to make super blown out like hard rap songs, was also using that same toolkit to make really hard blown out pop songs? Well, that's what Skywater does on Bleach. And I think what's really fun about this song too is that despite the fact that Skywater is really interested in these big and tough kind of sounding instrumentation, she's never scared to kind of use that to then get really in touch with her feelings and say like, hey, like this relationship is making me feel X or Y, or I'm in my feelings, or I'm like this. And I think she does that with like a really strong sense of self-assurance and self-confidence that like frankly like I think a lot of artists would struggle to put together a project with as singular a vision as Gigi is, Skywater's debut album from earlier this year. And I think if any song is Brat AF that isn't by Charli, this definitely counts.
We've talked about this in editorial meetings over the last few weeks, and the example I've used is that England invented football, but hasn't won a World Cup since 1966. Maybe this is just me making myself feel better about England not winning a major tournament since 1966, but you could say that somebody else winning at the thing that you invented is simply proof that you invented something so great that other people want to perfect it. So I don't think it would be a slight on Charli to lose to a song especially so different. But with that in mind, where are our votes going? Hannah, what do you think?
I mean, I have to say 360. I think it started it all. I think it's the reason that Brat Get even exists. So I'm going to have to give it to Charli.
I'm going to have to give it to Skywater. I think the most Brat Charli album is actually How I'm Feeling Now. I was not feeling this one, respectfully.
Yeah, I mean, I personally would go with Charli 360. She invented a vibe more than anything.
That's fair enough. I would feel bad overruling democracy on this one. And while I love the Skywater track, I'm happy to go with consensus on this one. Charli makes it through. The next matchup is genuinely mad. The first half of it is Waxahachie, right back to it, the soft trance edit.
Come right back to it and let my mind run wild. I don't know why I do it. You just settle in like a song with no end. If I can keep up, we'll get right back to it.
So what I'm going to say, first of all, is that, on paper, obviously, a trance remix of Waxahachie sounds awful. And it also led me down this hole where I found an Adrian Lenker D&B remix and all these other things that should never have been created. And FL Studio should just be taken away from everyone. But there is something about it that works, mostly because I think Katie Critchfield's voice syncs up very well with the Eurodance trance beat beneath it. And I just personally am a very Americana, banjo, longing, lost love, Saddle Creek kind of girl. But yeah, no, it's fun club music though. So in that way, it's very Brat. It's music to very dance, have fun to, euphoria, dissociate to, vibe.
it's very Philly brat, and that's because of Waxahachie and MJ Lenderman. Like, I swear to God, if like I got dropped some coordinates and I was like next to the Schuylkill River, and like these two 100 gex like DJ lookalikes were playing just like their own mix. But if they started playing this Right Back to It remix, I think everyone would go crazy.
So that one's up against Rada's Pay Me.
If you got some for me, better be more money. Got no time for broke bitch. You can get enough from me. Meet me down in LA. Learning niggas from LA. If you want, then you should. Totally. If you want, then you should. If you wanna,
Part of kind of what happened when we initially started this concept of songs of the summer was we kind of had that usual conversation of, well, what does it mean for something to be a song of the summer? And aren't we a music magazine dedicated to discovering and covering like new and emerging acts, like versus, you know, I think for the average person, right, their song of the summer is going to be, you know, shout out to our main stage podcast, right? It's going to be Not Like Us. It's going to be Espresso. It's going to be a lot of these other really big Titanic hits, right? And I think for me, right, like sometimes the song that feels like the thing that most defined the summer is not the song that all of my friends already knew before I showed it to them. It's that song that every time I showed it to somebody, they went and showed it to somebody else. Pay Me is absolutely one of those types of songs where from the very first time you hear it, even though you haven't heard it before, something about it feels familiar. Something about it feels like, oh, I fuck with this, right? And I think it's really magnetic when a song can kind of have that quality. And I think what is really exciting to me about a track like Pay Me is that it kind of hits like this perfect level of like Far East movement, like Edward Maya, Stereo Love, like Club Can't Handle Me, Flow Rida, like type nostalgia for like early 2010s, like trance, EDM, maximalism type stuff. Which, you know, I mean, recession core does kind of seem to be back in vogue, whether it's the revival of trap music on the rap side or kind of the pushback towards EDM and kind of these other sounds on the pop side.
Less so than the aughts thing. I really got like a Eurodance vibe, like an Alice DJ sort of like, and then the inflection of her voice is kind of like weirdly, I don't know why, it made me think of the Cranberries, like very like Irish coded. It just honestly felt very 90s, but then there was also this weird like country twang to her delivery too, which I really appreciated. Obviously, there's something very Gabber almost too about it, and so it kind of just made me want to put on a tracksuit and steal my man's Air Maxes and like.
Okay, so I feel like the winner of this matchup feels pretty straightforward. It also sounds like, especially from what you're saying there, Sandra, like the Rada track does a lot of what the trance edit of the Waxahachie song hints at wanting to do. I think we can all agree that Rada is going through here, unless I'm off base.
100%.
Yeah.
Rada it is. Let's keep it rolling. Next up, Busca Booyah 1111.
Con todo lo que hace falta, no hay tiempo suficiente. Lo pienso y se me escapa la hora de mi suerte. Ya no, ya no. Con todo lo que hace falta, no hay tiempo suficiente. Sé lo que eso se me escapa.
It's just such a fun song. I mean, I may be a little biased also because 1111 is also my angel numbers, just like, you know, our girls. But it is like very cute. It's like this pastel colored, brat coated, like hooky dance pop that, you know, I hate the beach. I'm a vampire, but it kind of makes me want to go out in the heat and like Miami humidity and do some like bachata, which I would totally butcher. But there's also this like weird indie sleaze element to it that I'm really into because there's electro dance that also makes me feel like getting sloshed. So I guess those are the two common denominators there between the Caribbean dance rhythms and, the indie sleaze stuff. But I want to get sloshed and kind of like flirt with like Vice interns at Lit Lounge kind of, vibes, and with like an American Apparel metallic headband on. But like do some hip swing and like be like, Dembo's really cool. And then school these Vice bros.
This is up against Tuvalu and SG Lewis's Let Me Go, Oh, Oh.
Let me go.
That was a song that I picked, and I so bravely said is more Brat than Brat. And my prophecy came true, actually. I think everything about the song and the music video and just like everything attached to this 4-song EP that Tuvalu did with SG Lewis is really like the club classics that are in Brat, but the EP kind of encapsulates all of that. The music video is like a bunch of gay people like sweating and then licking the sweat off each other. And I think that's just like the messy rush that Brat is. I think it encapsulates everything about like the highs of summer that I aspire to.
It's funny. I just realized that like Tovolo and Pepe Rexa, both great names to try and pronounce, they just did a bunch of My Oh My remixes with Kylie Minogue, who I think is a huge Brat inspiration, just sonically. And so that was also kind of the first thing I heard when I heard Oh Oh Oh, because that's just the kind of song that I'd be like drunk, scream, cry, dancing to in the club. Just like a classic, like, na na na. But like, I don't know. It's an earworm.
That sets up a difficult matchup then. So we've got Buscabia's 11-11 versus Tuvalu and SG Lewis's Let Me Go, Oh, Oh. Who's winning out on this one? Hannah?
I gotta go with Tuvalu and SG Lewis.
Sandra, you riding with Buscabia?
Yeah, I have to, because it reminds me of my youth.
Vivian, are you willing to be a tiebreaker here? Wow.
Wow, drum roll, please. I'm going to have to go. I think it was tough because I don't know that I feel that one is like head and shoulders above the other. It's very close, right? But I think personally, and especially given that the bracket is Brat Summer, I think we have to give it to Tovolo and SG Lewis. I think just bangs, it is what it is. Unfortunately, it's tight, though. It's tight.
All right, so the final matchup in the first round of the Brat Regional begins with Cash Cobain and Basswag's Fisher.
Don't chill like NBA when I thought a nigga was from Baton Rouge. Made us out of NBA, fuck when niggas say we don't follow rules. Put that pussy on my face, get your pussy drained like some Mountain Dew. In Miami, I'm with Lou, we found something new, had to find blue. Didn't give it mouth like you, make it bounce like you, make it bounce like you. If I need to hit you up just to get a nut, I could count on you. Lately I've been sipping drinks, pushing hella states, I ain't in the mood. Sliding in the Billy truck with a Spanish bitch, put in some room. For sure, for sure. She blowing it like it was a flu. For sure.
So obviously, first of all, Fisher is incredible, right? And I think it goes without saying that maybe 50 years from now, when God willing, I'm still alive and in a nursing home and my children come to visit me, they will find me in the corner going, which bad shit said you got it too, so I met you. Like, just straight up, like that thing will get stuck in your head forever. And I think what's really cool about Fisher and kind of just like what Cash Cobain has been doing all year, like, I feel like the sexy drill sound that Cash Cobain and Chow Lee established in 2022 with Too Slizzy, Too Sexy was a lot more related to the initial wave of sample drill out of NYC, right? What has kind of happened in the 2 years since that mixtape, both with Cash Cobain and his production, but then also with Chow Lee's music, with a lot of these people who are running around who are kind of their stylistic descendants, whether it's their collaborators like Wolfface Joey, whether it's people picking up on the sound like Baby Osama, Kells, R2R Mo, I think what's really exciting about Sexy Drill this year is the way that the sound has moved away from just being built around samples to something a lot more atmospheric, a lot more kind of moody. To me, it kind of feels like the logical extreme continuation of kind of the muted muffled sound that Drake and 40 first kind of coined with his early discography, or even kind of thinking about the intersection of like kind of R&B and hip hop and the way that like guys like Brent Faiyaz and like other artists like that are kind of moving through spaces. And I think what's really cool about a song like Fisher to me is that not only is it emblematic of this kind of stylistic shift and growth, but it's also like extremely commercially successful, and it's something that a lot of people are really rocking with. And I think that's always like really exciting to me. And it feels like, for a while, like New York has kind of been like up and down in terms of how important it's felt to the center of hip hop over the past decade. I think we've seen that Atlanta has really been the epicenter for a pretty long time. And I think now it really feels like between Cash Cobain and Ice Spice, like New York is like back and like bigger than ever.
I also like that it got a dance.
The Reemski.
And that one is up against our last track, Sexyy Red, Get It Sexy.
Boy, you know this ass super fat. Fuck me good, I'm throwing that shit back. He wanna kiss me all over my tag. I'm so fucking sexy, they attack. Feel myself cause I know that I'm next. Riding through St. Louis in the skag. Bust down middle point, I got it black. Walking through the club looking like a snack. Get it sexy, get it sexy.
What is crazy to me about this song is that last year, Sexyy Red had not one, not two, but I think 3 separate Song of the Summer contenders, because you really could have picked Pound Town, you could have picked Ski, you could have picked Hellcats SRT, and you would have been right all 3 times. What do you do when you take over the summer so hard that like people will be like, play Sexyy Red, and the DJ doesn't even have like a 50% chance of picking the right song that you're actually asking for? Well, I guess you've got to make a song so big that everybody on earth can rap along to it, which seems to be basically what has happened with Get It Sexy. I think this is just immediately like so magnetic and so compelling. Sexyy Red's like brand of kind of like late 2000s like Atlanta trap nostalgia, kind of funneling through that idea that she is the female Gucci Mane, has been, I think, really strong. I mean, she's just obviously like pound for pound one of the most magnetic like female rap stars that we have in the game right now. And especially kind of when you think about how Cardi B has kind of been on extended hiatus since Invasion of Privacy in 2018, obviously still doing features, but that's left kind of like a lot of space for the younger generation of female rappers, whether that's Sexyy Red, Glorilla, Ice Spice, Lotto, Meg Thee Stallion, all these other people to kind of have more room to thrive in the streaming market, so to speak. And I think Get It Sexy kind of feels like one of those moments where you're like, wow, this is like Bodak Yellow, like kind of levels of just like, wow, like this person is a star. Like this person is the next like Nicki Minaj, the next Cardi B, the next Lil Kim, the next like whatever like big kind of icon you want to put on it. And I mean, it's a fun song, man. I mean, what more can you say? Like, I feel like it's perfect. Like, I mean, if Sexyy Red makes like one song like this every like 3 years, like she will never have to worry about like changing careers or anything.
You remember the teacher who was posting about her 5-year-olds only wanting to hear like Ski and Pound Town and like Sexy, like promises us like a kids bop thing. So if you notice, she has like a little bit where she's flowing with like a nursery rhyme-esque sort of moment, and it's really funny. And that's, I mean, like points for that one. Like plus punchy hi-hats, like snap effects. Like who doesn't love that shit?
It seems like a difficult choice. So we're playing Sexyy Red off against Cash Cobain and Bass Swag. Who comes out of this one? I'm giving the first vote to Sandra.
Sexy.
Vivian?
Gotta give it to Sexyy Red.
Hannah, are you okay with that?
No, I love this song. I was just gonna bring it in a little and say how Brat Sexyy Red really is. And I, like she said, boy, you know this ass super fat. I ain't lying. That to me is so Brat, and it's just what Charli is afraid to say.
Okay, so Sexyy Red goes through. So we're gonna rifle through these and we're gonna come out with a winner from the Brat Regional. So semi-final matchup. I think this is actually going to be quite a difficult one. It's Charli XCX's 360 against Rada's Pay Me. Vivian.
I got to give it to Rada. I mean, obviously, like I said earlier, I'm not as keen on 360 as I am on 365. But I also feel like, in terms of kind of like the Brat Summer aesthetic, like when I think about what I want to be in the club, like the type of club classics that I personally want to hear, I think Rada has cut a song this year that I'm going to feel like is a club classic in like 5 years' time.
Oh, God. See, and that is such a good argument because originally I was like, obviously, Charli has to win Brat, And I love the song because it's me. However, I also hate myself, which is also another theme within this album. So honestly, because it's also like hero trash that I'm obsessed with, like, I think I have to give it to Rada. I'm sorry, Charli.
Hannah, are you going to buck the trend here?
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go with Charli just because, Brat Summer isn't just typified by like club classics. I think a lot of what we've been talking about here is like being confident and being able to go back to the stuff that you love while also putting a new twist to it. And I think that's what Charli did with 360. So sticking with that.
Rada goes through. All right, and the other matchup, it's Tuvalu and SG Lewis against Sexyy Red.
I'm going to have to go with Sexyy Red. I think obviously just feels like I got to root for the GOAT,
Sexy all the way. Give me those like 15% ABV buzzball vibes forever.
No, it is Sexyy Red. Get It Sexy is song of my life. I love it.
Okay, so we've got a great final matchup to see who's going to come out of the Brat Regional. Got Rada's Pay Me against Sexyy Red's Get It Sexy.
I think the new Brat Green is Sexyy Red. Like, it's Sexyy Red. It's Get It Sexy.
I would actually probably just say it's Rada, just because it's a whole new, different sound. And I mean, like, Y2K has been back in for a while. Let's bring back the Euro trash, but also all these other weird influences. I don't know. It's just something I haven't heard before and that I would scream, cry, dance to in the club.
Wow, this is crazy. I mean, the bracket tiebreaker, I think it's really important when we talk about Brat Summer and to think about, the Fader's role in covering emerging and upcoming music, not just the music that is important to our readers today, but the music and the artists that are going to live with them for years into the future. And especially thinking about the sound and the aesthetic of Brat Summer and Brat Green, going to the club, being with your girls, getting that fit off, getting those drinks, putting it on credit. I think we have to give it to the capitalist princess herself, Rada. If you want that new shit, you better pay me for it.
The winner is Rada, which means we have our final set up for tomorrow. We're going between Rada's Pay Me, Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us, MJ Lenderman's She's Leaving You, and Rainbow by Polo Perks, AU Lee, and Fid Dorian. Extremely Fader matchup. We'll be back with the final episode tomorrow. Bye for now. The Fader Songs of the Summer Week is presented by Splice. Visit splice.com and try it for free today. Our intro and outro music is provided by Country Girl. It's an instrumental version of Taste Like Cherry, out now on the Fader label. Go check it out on streaming services. Our engineer is Tony Giambroni, and we'll be back tomorrow. You know that one song you can't get enough of? Chances are it was made with a sample from Splice. Explore top packs made by your favorite producers, sketch out song ideas in seconds with Create Mode, and dive into a sample catalog that's so deep, it's dangerous. Find out why Splice is the industry's not-so-secret secret. Visit splice.com and try for free today.